Greetings to you, music lovers, thrill seekers, conversationalists all across the fruited plain. It is the most listened to radio talk show in America, hosted by me, Hall of Fame broadcaster Rush Limbaugh, and I've been doing this a long time. Now, what does that mean to you? It means I know what I'm doing. I like it when I do it. I know what I'm saying. I like it when I say it. I like listening to myself say it, but I don't get to do that much. Not nearly as often as you do. 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. So I got a note from a friend last night who was so captivated by my program yesterday that was listening a second time. And made some observations based on things I had said. He said, I never stopped to look at it that way. I never, ever stopped to look at it. And the person said, you may as well go ahead and make the point that you just, so I re-looked at it. And it hit me. The perfect ticket for 2016. So what was it that happened on yesterday's program? Well, one of the things that happened was that Jeb Bush announced he was going to do exploratory committee. And in his announcement, and many times previous to his announcement, Jeb Bush has made it clear that he wants to win the Republican nomination without needing the votes of the Republican base, i.e. the Tea Party. He doesn't want to have to sell his soul for the Tea Party vote. And what that means is he doesn't want to have to pretend to be a conservative at any time during the primary to get the Tea Party or conservative vote. And yet he's found out he's going to do it. He is going to win the nomination. He's not going to pander. And as evidence, I offer you this. From the Washington Times. This is back in 2009. May 3rd of 2009, but it's important that you have this in the hopper. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush said Saturday that it's time, this is May the 9th now, May 3rd of 2009, so we're 5 years ago admittedly, but it fits nicely with yesterday. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush said Saturday it's time for the Republican Party to give up its nostalgia for the heyday of the Reagan era and look forward, even if it means stealing the winning strategy deployed by the Democrats in the 2008 elections. Jeb Bush was quoted as saying, you can't beat something with nothing, and the other side has something. I don't like it, but they have it, and we have to be respectful and mindful of that. Now, that reminded me of another prominent Democrat who said we must be respectful and mindful and empathetic with our enemies. Another prominent Democrat had said something like that as well. Recently. You might remember who. Now, the era of Reagan being over is a popular refrain and has been for many years within the Republican Party establishment, the so-called Rhino Republicans. They have wanted to forget Reagan, move on from Reagan, because they don't like the whole premise of Reagan, which is limited government, shrinking government, expanded liberty and freedom, lowering taxes, all that. They're not interested in that. You'll note also, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard any Democrat ever say the era of FDR is over and we need to move forward and beyond it? You haven't, have you? Have you ever heard any Democrat say the era of JFK is over? Have you ever heard Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton say the era of Martin Luther King is over and we need to move forward with me? You haven't. Have you ever heard any Democrat suggest that the Democrat Party forget and throw away any of its heroes from the bygone eras? You never hear that. But yet, the Republican Party has for years been insistent that the era of Reagan be thought of as over. A one-time experiment that we forget and stop looking at it nostalgically. Stop being linked to it and wedded to it, and we must move on. We must get real. And we must look at how the Democrats win elections. Jeb Bush said this 5 years ago. We must look at how they are winning elections and steal it. Yep, he said we need to steal the winning strategy deployed by Democrats. What was the winning strategy deployed by Democrats in 2008? Seriously, what could he be talking about? Okay, what did Obama run on? Obama ran on nebulous platitudes. Hope and change. Obama was an empty canvas. Basically, you could make Obama what he ran on nothing. What did the Republicans run on this year? Nothing. I'm talking about as a party. As an individual, Republican candidates ran on things such as opposition to Obamacare, but the party itself ran on nothing. Could that be the idea? Jeb Bush is suggesting that they steal. Maybe they did. They used it in 2014. They think it worked big. We'll try it again in 2016. We'll shut up. We'll stand for nothing. We'll rely on the country hating what Obama's doing and Democrats. We'll get elected. And then we won't be tied to any agenda because we haven't announced one. But this radio program yesterday explored some of the similarities that exist between the two parties. And I made a point yesterday of saying that the Republican Party and Democrat Party pretty much agree on amnesty for illegal immigrants. The voters don't. We all know the election returns. There was a massive landslide defeat for people who believe in amnesty. Landslide defeat. The people who voted went to the polls and shouted, "Stop it." Both parties are ignoring it. On amnesty, both parties want the same thing. On Obamacare, the Republican Party doesn't appear in any way interested in repealing it, slowing it down, replacing it. They're not. It may as well be on the same page as the Democrats. And look who it is that turns out to be paying for all of this. The donor class for the Democrat Party and the Republican Party are identical. The Democrats and Republicans are both going after the rich elite. They're going after bankers, Wall Street brokers and hedge fund types. They're going after Hollywood. The Democrats more successful there. Both parties are seeking corporate money big time. And both parties are seeking great fame and pleasing coverage from the media. In other words, both parties seem to be aiming their future prospects at people who live in media and entertainment and financial capitals in this country. Now, we've also heard, ladies and gentlemen, that one of the problems with the Republican Party is that they refuse to cooperate. We hear over and over the Republican Party needs to engage in bipartisanship. This is needed to secure the independent vote. The independents don't like criticism and fighting, and particularly criticism of Democrat presidents or candidates. And so the Republicans, we've been told this by Senators McCain and you name it. We've been told we must tone down this criticism of Obama. We must cross the aisle. We must show the American people we can work together in Washington and get things done. We have too long, we are told, had a divided government, and we must come together and show that we can govern together. The Republicans tell us this. The Republicans tell their voters, and at the same time they tell us this, they tell us the era of Reagan is a bygone era. We should forget about it. And the Tea Party is absolutely disastrous to future Republican fortunes and plans. The Tea Party must be forgotten about, certainly not pandered to, and if necessary, defeated in the primary process. Otherwise, the Republican Party doesn't have a prayer. The Tea Party is the biggest option, and that happens to be the exact thinking of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party thinks the biggest problem in America today is the Tea Party. The Democrat Party thinks that this country is faced with singular opposition that could overturn the best plans of both parties by the Tea Party. Therefore, both parties agree the Tea Party has got to be dealt with. somehow, some way. Now, on the Democrat side, we have apparently two interested people, maybe three if you count Joe Biden. But we have the Pocahontas candidate, the fake Indian, Native American. That would be Elizabeth Warren, who is telegraphing her desire to be president by claiming she doesn't want to be. It's like being a coach in football, getting a vote of confidence. You're toast when the owner says you're cool. Elizabeth Warren says, I'm not running. I don't want to be president. Translation, I can't wait. And I am running, but I'm just not going to admit it right now. Now, Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton being the other, they have a little problem because Hillary, by necessity, has to run for the presidency away from Obama because Obama is death politically to Democrats seeking office. I give you the 2014 elections. Every Democrat senator voted for Obamacare is toast. They're gone, one way or the other, defeated, quit, retired, or dead. Hillary Clinton, Benghazi, all kinds of controversies and scandals. Hillary Clinton was tied. She's got to distance her. So therefore, Hillary Clinton, like Jeb Bush, must win the primary some way other than securing the Democrat base, because that is Elizabeth Warren's. What is the solution to all of this? It's very simple. The ideal, the perfect ticket for the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton, Jeb Bush. Now, they can figure out who's on top of the ticket on their own. But when you compare their positions, Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush, on the key important issues, they are two peas in the same pod. And by the way, Barbara Bush loves Bill Clinton, says so publicly. George W. Bush has referred to Hillary as a half-sister, long-lost, whatever, some such thing. The Clinton family and the Bush family are very tight. They are very close. There is never a negative or critical word uttered by a Bush of a Clinton or of a Bush by a Clinton. This is made to order the way both parties want amnesty. Jeb Bush wants it. Hillary wants it. Both parties want to win the nomination. Hillary by running away from the Democrat base, Jeb by running away from the Republican base. This is an ideal combination. When it comes to Obamacare, national health care, both parties are signed on. Both parties care about their donors more than their voters. And both parties have the exact same donor class. Bankers, stockbrokers, elite entertainment industry types, unit, or all of it. It's folks, this is a ticket made in heaven. I can't recall a time in my life where a presidential candidate and a vice presidential candidate are so close to each other on the issues. Where if one of them was unable to serve, we wouldn't know the difference if the vice president had to take office. If Jeb's at the top of the ticket and they win and something happens and Hillary has to take over, nobody'd know the difference. Same token, Hillary is elected president, Jeb's Veep, Hillary can't make it for some reason. Her husband being the white Bill Cosby might come up, you never know. Then Jeb becoming president, nobody'd know the difference. It wouldn't skip a beat. The moderates in the Republican Party are scared to death of Hillary Clinton. They're petrified. What better way to deal with the fear of Hillary Clinton than to put her on your ticket? The Democrats probably have the same kind of fear of the Bushes. Not because they actually fear them, but can't we get away from them? Crying out loud? Bush here, Bush there, Bush there. What better way? The Republican donor class scared to death of Hillary. Republican establishment scared to death of Hillary. Republican conservative media scared to death of Hillary. They think Hillary's a shoo-in. She's an automatic nominee and may be an automatic president unless Jeb can come in and save a day. Well, why not accomplish both things. Bipartisanship, crossing the aisle, united government, no more gridlock, key agreement on all the important issues that people vote on. Clinton, Bush, 16. You choose the top. And we're back. Great to have you here, Rush Limbaugh, behind the golden EIB microphone. I mean, that ticket, that would be a moderate, and isn't that what we're told needs to dominate moderates' independence? That ticket would be a moderate wet dream. I mean, it covers every base. Both candidates put their pants on one leg at a time.